Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here at the Orange County Emergency Operations Center. We are hosting a press conference for Hurricane Matthew. For the viewing audience, this is being aired live and will be rebroadcast. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Mayor Teresa Jacobs.
Well, good morning and welcome back. This morning we opened our EOC at a level of activation 1. That's our highest level of activation. We began that at 10 o'clock this morning. This brings all or most of our 20 support functions to the table here at the EOC to make sure that we're monitoring all activities taking place here in Orange County in preparation for the storm that we expect to hit later this evening. I just signed a declaration of state of local emergency, which gives me the authority to take additional action to respond to Hurricane Matthew. In a minute, I'm going to call on our sheriff, Jerry Demings. He's going to talk about his preparedness with regards to curfews. Based on the 8 a.m. advisory for Orange County, we heard this morning that the onset of tropical storm winds will begin at about 1 o'clock Friday morning. Obviously, we can expect in climate weather, as we're seeing now throughout the day, some gusts and rains, and people need to be prepared and very cautious even today as they're driving. We're aware that approximately 1/3 of East Orange County is expected to receive 25 hours worth of tropical storm winds. That's a long time to be sheltering in place. We understand that. It's a lot of water. It's a great concern to myself and my fellow commissioners, especially with regard to mobile homes. So we're urging everyone who is residing in a mobile home or on the east side of Orange County in any precarious housing arrangements that they take shelter, and they take shelter now. Maximum winds will be experienced across Orange County at approximately 10 a.m. Friday morning, possible gusts of up to 100 miles an hour. We are anticipating and we're prepared for hurricane force strength winds across all of Orange County. And we are asking that all of our residents be equally prepared. We're doing everything that we can to make sure that we're providing a safe environment. But one of the things that we need our residents and citizens that are here in Orange County to do is be prepared today to get off of the streets, if at all possible, by 6 p.m. this evening, and to stay off of the roads for the duration of the storm Friday, and to be prepared to stay off the roads throughout the weekend. We're anticipating that there will be, because of the amount of winds that we're going to experience and the strength of those winds, we are anticipating there will be down power lines. There will probably be signals and intersections that are not functioning. And that's why we want our citizens to be extremely careful, not just during the storm. We know this from experience. We've experienced this right here in our community, that most of the injuries that take place don't take place during the hurricane. They take place immediately after. As people get out, they want to see what the storm damage looks like around their community. They drive on hazardous roads, or they begin to conduct repairs on their own homes and fall prey to those types of casualties. So we urge everyone to use extreme precaution as they're recovering from the storm. And let me also say that Orange County will suspend our normal operations beginning at noon today. We are asking our non-essential employees to do the same thing we're asking everybody else in Orange County to do, and that is prepare to shelter at home for the next several days. And Orange County Fire Rescue personnel is currently going door to door this morning. They're going through numerous mobile home parks, especially those on the east side of Orange County, to encourage residents that are living in those mobile home parks to evacuate to one of our shelters. Regarding our shelters, our general shelters, our pet-friendly shelter, and our special needs shelters will be open today starting at 1. You may recall yesterday we anticipated 3, but based on what activity we've seen with Hurricane Matthew, we believe it's prudent to open those shelters at 1 so that people have an opportunity to start making arrangements to move to those. Residents who need assistance booking hotel accommodations can call 407-354-5555. This hotline will help callers identify vacancies to accommodate their families if they choose to use a hotel in the area. Orange County personnel, along with members of the HOPE team, are doing outreach to the homeless community to ensure that they're aware of the storm and that they're provided the transportation and the resources that they need to safely get themselves to shelters. Sandbag distribution went extremely well yesterday. Long lines, and I appreciate everyone's patience, but we distributed over 50,000 sandbags. We expect that need to continue, but we will be suspending that at 3 o'clock this afternoon. So we encourage anyone who has not made it out for sandbags that feels that they need to take action now to get those sandbags. We have 8 locations throughout Orange County. And our busiest location is right down the road at Forsyth. So I would urge you to look for locations other than Forsyth or John Young Parkway. Those have been our 2 busiest. The others have flowed fairly well. So consider one of the other locations. You can go to our website for a list of the locations where you can get both the sandbags and where you can seek shelter and all the other necessary preparations. Again, we're ready. We're doing our part. We're prepared. We're here for you throughout the storm and the days following the storm, and we urge you to make sure that you're prepared to protect your families and again, to shelter in place when you need to, or to take shelter before the storm this afternoon. Thank you. And now I'm going to call on Orange County Sheriff Jerry Demings to talk about their role in preparing for the safety of our citizens.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor is correct that we are well trained and well prepared to deal with the storm. However, during the next 24 to 36 hours, our weather is going to get progressively worse during that period of time. And so it is incumbent upon all of our citizens to do their part to help keep themselves safe. But I want you to understand that there is an all hands on deck for the emergency first responders here in Orange County. Due to the fact that our courts have been closed, our schools are closed, we have redeployed deputies who would normally be assigned to those duties. They will become available now to patrol the streets of Orange County. We will focus throughout the county. However, we realize that because of this storm, the east side of Orange County is going to be most significantly impacted. So we will certainly have staff in those areas. We'll have staff around our lodging establishments as well, as we anticipate individuals who would evacuate from other places in the state or what have you, who will shelter at hotels. The population in the hotels should increase, and so we'll have significant presence in those areas as well. We're also working with our theme parks. As you all know, that many of the theme parks have announced that they're going to be closing early, and as a result of that, we're working with them to ensure that they have appropriate security at and around the theme parks, especially with the traffic congestion and other things that may occur. We'll be working with our state law enforcement authorities as announcements will be made about changing traffic flow patterns, et cetera, of state roadways as the storm develops. In terms of price gouging, we urge our citizens who may believe that they are becoming victims of price gouging to follow the governor's directive and call the hotline, the 1-866-966-7226 number. That's the state hotline for price gouging. Of course, there's a formula that they use to determine if the prices are inappropriate based on the last 30 days of sales, et cetera. So it is a methodology that is used to determine whether price gouging exists or not. I'm happy to say that within the last 12 hours or so, we have not received any calls to the Orange County Sheriff's Office regarding price gouging, although I'm aware that some citizens say that they have seen what they believe is price gouging occurring. I'm going to reiterate what the mayor has said about the curtailing of vehicular traffic at 6 p.m. today, because with our roadways, we know that there's a lot of people moving and about. Many of the places of employment have close their normal business hours, and employees are being released early today so that they can go home and prepare their homes and themselves to get through this storm. The Orange County Sheriff's Office has closed our offices, or will close our offices at noon today for the normal administrative services. Our emergency services, however, will continue. Certainly 24 hours a day, we will continue to respond to calls for service. So if you go to any of our sector locations after about noon today, the offices will be closed. We are going into our hurricane preparedness mode ourselves so that we can take care of the citizens. So thank you, and I'm going to turn it over at this time to Chief Droz. Is that correct?
Good morning, and the events of the last several days should leave no doubt that Hurricane Matthew is a dangerous storm and should be taken seriously. So we're urging all our residents to continue their preparations and bring them to a close as soon as possible and seek safe haven, whether that's in the home that you're in or within one of the shelters that are available. Our top priority is the safety and survivability of the members of our community. And to that end, we have put all available resources at the community's disposal. We have additional units placed in all of our stations throughout Orange County. And we also have prepared our post-storm response. So we have assets placed throughout the county to really address any damage that happens with people's private homes. Now, on to those areas that are most susceptible, and those are our mobile home communities. We've been sending out messages with increasing levels of urgency over the last several days. The messages that are going out today are being hand-delivered for those that didn't get them through the reverse or the reverse 911 or code red system. So what we're urging our mobile home residents to do is to find shelter either with family, friends, or one of the available shelters, because those are the structures that are most susceptible to the high winds that we will experience, not for a short period of time, but over several hours, because the storm is predicted to be within our area and produce tropical storm and hurricane force winds for hours on end. Now, the resources that we have available are there, and we will continue to respond and work with our public safety and community partners to really ensure the resiliency of this community. But we ask the community to help us in this endeavor by bringing those preparations to a close as soon as possible, because have no doubt this is a serious storm that can affect the lives and property of all residents of Orange County.
And if I might add, Chief didn't mention, but yesterday we delivered ambulances to Brevard County, to Melbourne, to help evacuate hospitals over there. And we're all in this together. We're a region. We're very strong. And I want to introduce one of our regional partners, and that's the CEO of Lynx, our transit system that serves the Tri-County area, Mr. Edward Johnson, to talk about their closure status and their plans to make our citizens safe.
Thank you, Mayor Jacobs. Lynx will continue to operate normal bus services until 5 p.m. this evening. At 5 p.m., we'll start curtailing our services back so that we can have all buses off the road at 8 p.m. We ask that our customers, as well as governmental entities, medical facilities, to go to our website at golynx.com, to our Twitter page, our Facebook page, as well as call our customer service department at 407-841-LYNX to keep up with the details of our services. If conditions change, we will have to modify this plan. We must take all buses off of the road once winds become a sustained level at 35 miles per hour. So again, please monitor our website, our Twitter page, our Facebook page, as well as contact our customer service department at 407-841-LINKS. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let me introduce, we are also joined by Helen Miller. She's with Senator Nelson's office, and I'm sure that Senator Nelson is extremely busy at this point in time. Yes, with all of the area that he represents that's under threat of this hurricane that's heading our way very quickly. So thank you very much for being here. We know we can always count on Senator Nelson. Let me also mention, in a moment I'm going to call on Orange County's Emergency Manager, Ron Plummer, to wrap up and fill in any gaps we might have missed. But let me remind everyone that if you're in need of information or support that's non-life-threatening, that is a non-emergency status, please call 311. We have it fully staffed. We're prepared to take your calls and give you advice and direction that you might need. Along with, if your power is working and you can get to our website, you have internet access. I think that the tools are there, and I know our media outlets have been extremely helpful as well in making sure that the information is available. Where to shelter, what you need in your home, when it's safe to go back out on our roads. And I think that's my number one message I want to leave you with. Please be cautious about getting back out on our roads immediately following the storm. Allow us to have time to assess the status of power lines and traffic signals to make sure that once you survive this storm, which I'm confident you all will, that you don't find yourself in harm's way afterwards. So now I'm going to call on Ron Plummer, Emergency Manager for Orange County. Mr. Plummer?
All right, thank you, Mayor. My message to everyone today is this is not a drill. This is an actual event. We've prepared for these type of events for the past 12 years. So the message for our residents and our citizens is to be prepared, to stay informed. If you need any information from us, as the mayor just reiterate, I will reiterate, please call 311. They will take your information and they'll provide the information into the Emergency Operations Center, where we are staffed at a level 1 with all of our partners, and we're ready to provide information, provide assistance to your and to come to your need. This storm will hit us probably late tonight, and it will be over the county until sometime late, early morning on Saturday. And as mentioned earlier, we would like for our citizens to stay off the road, to stay in your homes. We are hoping that you have prepared yourself. There may be power outages. There may be damage. We ask you to stay safe in your homes by moving to smaller areas of your home, keeping your family together. And if you hear any type of destruction in your home, we ask you to just move to a safe area, investigate the area, mitigate it, but do not leave your home in the midst of the storm. And if you need further assistance, call 311 if it's an emergency. Call 911, and we will try to respond as soon as possible. Again, we wish everyone the best of luck. We want you to be safe. And remember, be prepared, stay informed, and good luck.
Okay, we'll be delighted to answer any questions you might have at this time.
Mayor, people might be watching and they're thinking, oh, the coast is going to get it. We're doing hurricane force winds on the coast and tropical force winds inland. This is still going to be a major issue. So what would you say to people here in Orange County who might be thinking the coast is going to get the worst?
Well, there's no question. The coast is going to get the worst of it. But that doesn't diminish the impact that we're anticipating this storm may have on our local community. So I think the worst thing that anyone can do for their families and for themselves is to be complacent about this. For anyone who wasn't here in 2004, maybe they are. I think for all of us who lived through those hurricanes, you realize what destruction they can bring about. Simple things like a tree that's rotting in your yard and you don't realize it, that comes down on your roof. I myself lost two of my ceilings collapsed, one in my twins' bedroom and one in our garage. And so you would not expect that to happen. It happens. People need to be prepared. They need, as Mr. Plummer said, they need to make sure they're going to the interior of their homes. They need to stay away from windows. They need to be very cautious and very smart. Their lives depend upon how they respond and how they shelter internally. More important, those people that are living in mobile homes need to seek shelter, because we are talking about very, very high winds, and we're talking about sustained winds, and there's not going to be an option once this storm hits to change your mind. So the decision needs to be made, and it needs to be made right now, as to whether or not your home is a safe place to be. If it is, stay there. You'll be much more comfortable. If you have questions about it, especially for those in mobile homes, take shelter. And let me also, any other questions that you all might have? You're an easy group today. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we good?
Yeah, my other question was about, Maybe it'll come back.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad that happens to other people. Anything else?
Well, what would you say to folks who live in Orange County, and some who just don't seem to be as concerned or worried about this now?
Well, a couple of things. If there's one thing that is certain about hurricanes, is that they're unpredictable. Okay, so there are no certainties. Anything can happen and I don't mean to say, I don't want to sound like an alarmist, but if you are prepared for the worst case scenario, if the worst case scenario happens, you have a much better chance of protecting yourself and your family. So please don't be complacent. We've been through this once. And South Miami went through it with Andrew. I have my very own sister-in-law left Orlando to go home to Miami and lost her whole house while they hid from one room to another room to another room. And there was one room left, and that was the room they were standing in. So I will tell you personally, I will never be complacent again. I grew up in South Florida. I lived through a lot of hurricanes. We got casual and complacent. We had hurricane parties, and it was all fun. When that thing hits and you start seeing your roof collapse, it's a whole different situation. And you need to be prepared for that now. You need to make sure, if you haven't gone around your yard, look and see what weapons are in your yard that might be coming through your windows. Anything that is loose and can become airborne is a weapon of destruction against your home and your family. So take it seriously, folks. Check your yards, hunker down. Find those safe places. It's so tempting to look out the windows. Stay away from the windows. Your life matters dearly to everyone who cares about you, and it matters to every one of us up here. Take care.
Teresa,
Yes.
you can never repeat something too many times. The bullet points, what are the bullet points that the people of Orange County?
The most important thing that people in Orange County need to know, the key things they need to know, is by 6 o'clock this afternoon, they need to be preparing to be off the roads. Ideally, they're off the roads, they're home from work. If they're not, they need to be driving home. Unless they are emergency personnel that work for one of us up here or our hospital systems, we want them home and safe. They need to make sure that they've secured any loose objects around their property. They need to be talking to their neighbors to make sure they're doing the same thing. Little things like lawn chairs can become big problems if they come through your window in the middle of a storm. So opening up your home to all sorts of other problems. So they need to take care of that. They need to make sure, hopefully they already have, that they have water and they have canned goods and they have enough in their house to sustain their families for about 3 days. Mr. Plummer, I'm going to ask you to step in if there's anything else. And they need to, when the storm is over, they need to continue to stay where they are and wait for services to arrive. If they're out of power, the power will come back on. Stay where you are. If you have power and you're just curious, stay in your house until you hear on the news that our roads are clear, because there will very likely be downed power lines, which can be a very serious life safety issue, traffic signals that aren't working, and we want our citizens to be safe, not just during the storm, after the storm. Amazing the number of chainsaw accidents. The number of people who suddenly think that they can take on the world because they've survived the storm. Be cautious, be careful, be smart, and you'll be safe. Mr. Plummer?
Yes, and we mentioned earlier about most of the deaths happen after the storm has passed, when our individuals and personnel get out and try to do certain things on their own that they're not trained to do, they're not equipped or prepared or educated in. So again, power outages, stepping in water where a power line may be a live wire, trying to navigate roads, trying to get around flooded waters. Those are the things that put people in harm's way. And that's why we're asking that people will stay home until after all of our emergency response personnel have gotten out and taken a look, did an assessment that we can make our infrastructure safe for them to travel.
Can you talk about evacuations specifically for mobile homes? Have any mandatory evacuations been addressed?
You want to speak to that, Chief?
Yeah, as part of our efforts and as part of the mayor's emergency declaration, there is a mandatory order for the evacuation of mobile homes. So when we're sending out our messages, we're going to iterate that sense of urgency that people need to get out of their mobile homes and they need to get out now. And within that messaging, we're going to advise them that if they choose to stay in their homes, they're putting their lives at risk and they should call 311 to give us emergency contact information for their next of kin, because it is that serious and it's that dangerous for those that choose to stay.
So no matter where you are in Orange County, this is the message
That's correct.
for mobile.
Yes.
I have a feeling that the shift has changed, obviously, to get prepared and to get off the road. That's the new message today, is you should already be prepared. So by 6 o'clock tonight, what do you want people to know once they're inside?
So you're assuming they're already prepared?
Yes, well,
Okay.
I mean, that's what I'm.
Let's hope that by 6 o'clock everybody's prepared. Here's what I'm concerned about. I'm expecting power outages. With power outages, many people are not going to be able to get the news feeds that are so vital to them. And that's why we want to get some post-storm messages across now. So if you're without power and you are deciding to drive on the roads, I'm telling you right now, unless it is an absolute emergency, do not get out on the roads on Saturday. Give us Saturday. We cannot even take our crews out on the roads with heavy trucks and forklifts and all the things that we need to repair signals and power lines. Duke Energy, nobody's going to be able to get out there until the winds die down to a safe level. So there is very likely going to be damage around your home that's not safe to be driving through. If you're watching TV, you'll know that. If you're without power, you're not going to know that. So please remember it now. It's so tempting. I'm human. I get it. But please be safe and don't drive on your roads unless it's an absolute emergency. And if it's an absolute emergency, you're probably calling Chief Droz behind me and getting an ambulance to your house. So stay where you are as long as you can until you've got an all-clear signal from us.
Are there any plans to have a curfew?
Curfew? Sure.
A lot of that is unknown at this point. It will really depend upon the damage caused by the hurricane, and Mayor Jacobs and/or the governor will make adjustments as that moves forward. But at this time, there's no plan to have a mandatory curfew. If that changes, you will certainly know about it. I want to go back to something that the mayor said. If you lose power, how do you get information? One of the things that we tell people to do is get a battery-operated weather radio. That way you can continue to get information that is relevant at that time. So that's part of being prepared. We didn't mention medicines. In many cases, our citizens have various medications. Today you need to make certain that you have not just enough food and water, but medications that will get you through the next 72 hours or so as well. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. And that's why the special needs shelters are extremely important too. We have some people that are at home on equipment that is necessary for their health that is requires electricity. So we need to make sure that people are looking at their individual needs and taking care of their individual needs. And if they have questions, again, they can call 311. If they're life-threatening emergency questions, they obviously need to call 911. Other questions? All right. Well, thank you all, and we will look forward to briefing you probably later on this afternoon. Thank you.